On this week's episode, Netflix has a royal fascination. Is it time to play The Witcher 3 again? And what does Gerald have in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there that listens to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, Humanican Media, The Happy Hoarder, plus everything that we do out there at popculturecosmos.com, plus the best place to go for all your up-to-date news and information on the realm of pop culture is no better place to go than the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where you also see a ton of hours in the video archives from the world and realm of tabletop RPG action. In fact, we had another great session with DM Mitch right there for you. I truly appreciate what he does, streaming his live games right there for you at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Plus, of course, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. Go ahead and check it out today. Again, the Happy Hoarder on Facebook. Go ahead and take care of everything that's there at the Happy Hoarder on Facebook or thehappyhoarder.com. And if you could do all that, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is the Happy Hoarder himself, somewhere in the land of Texas. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today at thehappyhoarder.com. Plus all the great stuff he has on display at the Happy Hoarder on Facebook. Like and follow today at the Happy Hoarder on Facebook. And of course, the entire library is there at thehappyhoarder.com. And Humanican Media, everything that he does for the Super BS Gamescast, and oh so much more. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Sorry. As the introduction to what was made on Melon, the lady said, Josh the Great. What's up, man?
I mean, rumors of my greatness are, they're not exaggerated.
Well,
Just
the
so
Melon
everybody.
lady certainly loves you every time you pop onto the chat. Josh the Great is in the chat room.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm just gracing the internet with my presence right now.
Well, it's so funny because in the intro I said your favorite line that you've ever said on the show. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Absolutely. Well, what is in the box? Well, earlier on Friday and also today, I am doing an unboxing of what's in the box I got from Free League Publishing. So go ahead and check it out on the back end of the show. Something really cool, and I'm really appreciative of it. And I cannot thank Free League Publishing enough. So you'll check it out again coming up on the back end of the show. Plus, also as well, is it time to play Witcher 3 again? Because the update for next gen systems on Witcher 3 is coming out this week. Is it time for you to delve into the world of The Witcher 3 once again with all new content based off the Netflix series? We'll go ahead and talk about that on the show. Speaking of which, the big game release of December is Callisto Protocol. It came out earlier this month. Our thoughts on this spiritual successor to Dead Space with a Dead Space remake on the way. Is too much space horror too much space horror? We'll find out here in a bit. Plus, also, Josh is going to talk about anything that stood out to him at the Game Awards this past Friday. We'll talk about that, this past Thursday. We'll talk about that coming up in a bit. Plus, I'll have some also final thoughts as well. And of course, a whole ton of stuff leading into this weekend's big Avatar: The Way of Water release. We'll talk about all the stuff that's coming out on Netflix. That's coming up on the show as well. But first, my friends, speaking of Netflix, it is our royal fascination with the Netflix because The Crown latest season that just finished with some big numbers. followed by the Harry and Meghan docuseries, which actually, for once, they didn't just throw all the episodes out at you. They just kind of gave you three here and then give you a little bit more later on. It is
Want to prolong the controversy is what they're doing there.
Oh, absolutely. And I know the UK tabloids and British press out there are really not loving the fact that it's not shedding a good light on them at this point. Not trying to say anything in derogatory means. The docu-series itself is pointing out a lot of stuff as far as the British press are concerned, and they're not liking it all, but it is creating a lot of talk and a lot of controversy. But my friend, our fascination around the world with the British royals continues each and every time out on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't that is very interesting. Yeah, between The Crown and there's the show about Diana,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have this documentary. I I don't even I haven't followed the whole like Harry and what's her name,
Megan.
Megan situation. I know they did something on Oprah and people were upset about like an expose, I suppose, but I don't really know much about it. So, what is this something that like is it going to change people's lives if it's on, or is it more of one of those things where like I watch Downtown Abbey and I love the drama of other people, so I'm going to watch this? Is that what are your thoughts?
Well, when Harry and Meghan, Harry and Meghan Markle decided to go ahead and leave the royal life when it comes to what they were dealing with in the UK, and decided to disassociate themselves from the crown, and said we're going to be on our own, make our own money, things of that nature. They signed a big huge podcasting deal, I believe it's with Spotify, and then they also signed a big TV movie slash whatever deal with Netflix as well. So they're fine, they're all set, and this is part of it. This is the residual returns that they're getting. Not only are the podcast numbers for Spotify, but you're seeing the big numbers for Netflix. So, in order to go ahead and I guess relate their side of the story, I guess it just sheds a light on the turmoil that they had to deal with when they were in Britain when he first married Meghan, and also the fact that she is of a different ethnicity as far as a mixed ethnicity, and which I think that has sparked some controversy overseas in the UK. I guess it's been a source of some issues, I guess, which is very sad, very, very disappointing to hear that that's the case. But, when it comes to what they've had to deal with, they're telling their side of the story. And obviously, it's not going to paint either the royals in the UK that, on the homeland for them, but I'll say for Harry, but also it's going to paint a bad picture of the coverage that's been made because it's very tabloidy. It's very,
Yeah, it seems like it.
yeah, it's like TMZ multiplied by 10 when it comes to the number of outlets and what they're reporting on, whether it's true, whether it's not. That's I'll leave that up to the British people because they know way more than I do about the British press. But seeing as an outsider, as maybe a Yank, as I would say, as far as a Yankee here in the States, I say it's very tabloidy at times, but they can also be just like the press here, just very much like the press here. They can be on top of you and make your life very difficult for those in the public eye.
Right. So I guess my big question here with something like this, because and just with all this stuff, I've seen magazines and I know there's
And Harry in the
the
docuseries blames the press. He cuts no bones about it. He blames the press for his mother's death and the accident that she had.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure, and I know there's all kinds of conspiracies around the death of Diana, but like with this, is this need to see TV viewing? Is this going to be like life changing, or why? Like,
Well,
and I don't mean to sound like callous when I ask this, but why should we care?
Well, the thing is, you say that, and maybe I do to some extent as well. But there's a royal fascination the world has that the U.S. has. I mean, look at all the numbers
Right.
that took place for the funeral of the Queen Elizabeth and her passing, and all the pomp and circumstances that came with promoting King Charles to the throne, and all
Yeah.
the numbers that everybody was so fascinated by. Not only the millions upon millions of people in the UK that were mourning the loss of Queen Elizabeth and following it on television, but also the millions around the world that were watching everything going on as well. It seemed to be a source of fascination and conversation with a world society. So I have to
Mhm.
say that Netflix is smart by creating all these, whether it's the
Cashing
drama
in.
of the Crown or Harry and Meghan docuseries.
Yeah.
They're geniuses by the way that they're timing this out.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't blame them. You know, they're trying to
Oh,
make they're cashing in on something. I just it's I and I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be callous, but I'm genuinely interested in like the from a viewer point perspective, like is this something that's going to like shake the world in terms of in what would you call it, like a streaming service expose?
no, I think it's, I mean, because it's centered, the individuals in the UK. It's centered on the UK, and it's only affecting as far as what they're targeting after. They're certainly not targeting the individual people or audience as a whole. At least I don't think they are. They're
Mhm.
targeting more of the press, and then a little bit of the flag also goes away of everyone or people inside the Buckingham Palace. So I think it's
Yeah.
they are carefully and strategically targeting the certain individuals or groups in the UK, but they're not actually targeting. I don't think the people in the UK, and I think that's probably very smart that they don't, because again, coming off the devastating loss of Queen Elizabeth to many millions of people in the UK, that's been such a devastating thing for them to have this come on top of that. And I think again, it's pointing out some of the things that are going on in the UK that Harry and Meghan want fixed.
Right. Okay. So my last question to you, and we are both journalism majors. The one of the big thing that they taught us in school, right, is the
Mhm.
fact that like any type of slander can result in big trouble for the person doing it. Obviously, that's not really held to a standard anymore, as we see from CNN and Fox News. But like, is this something that Netflix can get in trouble for?
Well, hopefully they've got great lawyers that actually perused the actual docu series before they aired it. I'm assuming that they, that the press, especially those tabloids that they're targeting, are combing every single word to just say in case that they can throw something at Netflix,
Yeah.
because I do know the word is that they are extremely upset at Harry and Meghan in regards to the first three episodes that have aired as of this taping of the show right now. So I'm assuming that if it goes any farther or gets any worse, or the fingers start getting pointed, or the blame starts going their way even more, that they're going to
Yeah.
try and do what they can, if at all legally possible, to go ahead and make their lives uncomfortable even more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just such like a weird fascination, like, and maybe it's just because I don't get it, because I'm not fascinated with it at all. But like I do know people who just like can't keep their eyes off of it. So good
Same
for
here, my friend.
Netflix.
Same here.
Yeah. So good for Netflix. Just hopefully this doesn't get them in trouble, because they've been in the hole for so long. They're slowly starting to crawl out of it. But this is so it'd definitely be a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it definitely would be a step in the wrong direction, but for the numbers wise right now, again, it's done great numbers for them. I mean, coming off Stranger Things, then you had The Watcher, then you had the success of Wednesday. Wednesday has been killing it even above all The Crown and Harry and Meghan. They've had one success story after another. The second half of the year, they've really been killing it at Netflix. So I do got to give them their due. Plus, that doesn't even include the Knives Out sequel coming out later this month. They've got a lot of stuff that's good, and we're going to be. It's not even talking about what things that I know you will like that's coming up after the break that we will be talking about.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check out Wednesday. I have seen a lot of there's what's that show, 18 something or other on Netflix.
1899 is actually, I'm going to check that out this week as
Yeah,
well.
that's another one I've been wanting to watch. I don't know, they got a lot going on for them right now, and good for them, because I was on the verge of pausing the old Netflix subscription. Do you think though that this is Do you think they're putting out so many new things that they're going to reach a point where there's like a lull and people are expecting something new to come out, but it doesn't?
Well, we keep saying that, but then again, remember Netflix, we've been doing this now since 2016. And Netflix has grown into the company that, especially like what, 2019, 2020, 2021, they were just throwing out there anything and everything and seeing what sticks. I mean, that's their
Yeah.
formula. They're throwing out a whole bunch of stuff at a whole bunch of genres. They're not just doing one thing or sitting around one there. So, stuff we've talked about with Disney where lately they've been throwing out, especially the end of November, they threw out a whole bunch of stuff at the same time to see what
Mhm.
sticks, just like Netflix always does. People are used to it now. You as a Netflix viewer are actually used to seeing a whole season right there waiting for you. A Blockbuster, which was a disappointment as far as on a critical level, and I'm assuming on a viewer level as well. They threw out that season right there, and that's already got swept under the rug, and that's moved on. And I don't think that's even getting a season two. But then you have, again, all these other shows that they have. There's a style, there's a way that they're doing it. People go ahead and check out what's next on Netflix. They check out everything and they check it out as quickly as possible for the most part.
Yeah, and I mean, and as we see, a lot of hours racked up on Netflix are just from people, being bored at home and needing something to watch. So
Yeah.
I guess if you're still accumulating those couch hours, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
What are your thoughts out there on Netflix's royal fascination with The Crown off its latest successful season, and right after that, the Harry and Meghan docuseries, which is still continuing on Netflix, rivaling the great success of Wednesday? That series is still killing it on Netflix. What are your thoughts out there on the Netflix's royal fascination with what's going on there with of course, The Crown and Harry and Meghan? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, speaking of Netflix, my friend, this week, I think if you're not checking out The Crown and you're not checking out Harry and Meghan and you're not checking out 1899 just yet, and of course, you cannot check the Knives Out sequel just yet because that's coming out closer to Christmas. What you can check out this week is something I know that you have been waiting for, my friend. Actually, a couple things, maybe. First thing is that we'll talk about is Pinocchio from your favorite all-time director, at least one that you've talked about highly, more so than probably any other director that I think you've spoken about, and that's Benicio del Toro, one of the great directors of the century. He is bringing out his own version of Pinocchio. Now, the standards for Pinocchio movies have gotten pretty low after the Tom Hanks debacle earlier this year on
Mhm.
Disney Plus,
Yes.
but this is something I think Advanced Word says it's pretty solid. It's something that I think a lot of people may enjoy. Your thoughts on this envisioning of Pinocchio by Benicio del Toro?
It looks kind of cool, actually. I've heard good things about it too, so I just haven't had time to sit down and watch it. But if you watch what these guys are doing, the stop motion, people don't do that anymore, and so it looks like there's a lot of like care put into this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but I want to see it. But Benicio del Toro, like he seems like he's the last of like that era of filmmakers that really goes above and beyond trying to incorporate practical effects into everything he does. And I think that Pinocchio, if you watch the behind the scenes videos of people moving all the the feet and the arms and all that, like it seems like it's made by somebody who loves what he does.
It looks like it, but I'm very excited to see how he envisions the story of Pinocchio. Again, Benicio del Toro has done nothing but outstanding work. The Shape of Water, I think that was Best Picture, if I remember correctly. I think that he's
Yeah,
had
that's
a
right.
lot of great movies. The Hellboy series he started, obviously you've had a great fondness for that over the years. And
Yeah.
Nightmare Alley, I think, was one of his too, correct?
Yeah, that was like a show that I think was on HBO.
No, that was a movie. That was the movie,
Oh,
Nightmare
was it?
Alley.
Because I know Bradley Cooper was in
Yeah,
it.
that's a movie.
Cabinet of Curiosities. That was the show that
Yeah.
he did. That was
Now
one I
that
have.
was a success earlier this year. That actually
Yeah,
was a success. But
yeah.
Nightmare Alley, I
That's right.
think, was thought of well, but it didn't translate into box office dollars, from what I remember. his movies don't always translate into box office dollars. So you got to put that in mind. But it is Pinocchio. It's coming out this week on Netflix. Hopefully, get a chance to see it. I know Josh will go out of his way to try and catch it at some point in time in the not too distant future, being it his favorite director, Benicio del Toro. What are your thoughts on Pinocchio on Netflix? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. And also coming this week on Netflix, animated series. I talked on Friday about how I was hoping to see more footage of a Mass Effect or Dragon Age from BioWare, like we have it past on the Game Awards. Didn't see any of that, but
No.
we are going to see some Dragon Age Absolution. That's coming this week on Netflix.
Oh, sorry, that was a question. Okay.
I was trying to set you up to, man.
Oh, yeah, my bad, man. Yeah, so I saw that. Okay, so I logged on to Netflix. I actually didn't even know anything about this until I turned on the Xbox the other day and saw that. But I don't know. See, Dragon Age. It's weird because Dragon Age is a series that everyone kept saying, "Hey, you have to get into if you love Mass Effect." So, like, oh, all right, turned it
Right.
on. It didn't pull me in as much as Mass Effect did. Like, I think I played 3 hours of it and turned it off. Big Dog, on the other hand, would live in that world if he could. So I have a feeling that he is probably watching this show, and he would probably be someone that we'd want to talk to about it. But the animation looks cool, and if I get really bored, maybe I will watch it. But I'm not going to know anything about the mythology. So if they were to remake Dragon Age or release it on the 360 in like one of those Mass Effect packs, like they did, that could be something I'd probably get me more into that lore.
Well, Netflix has done a great job of video game adaptations for the most part. I mean, they got awarded with that last week with the Video Game Awards. They won the best video game adaptation last week with the League of Legends adaptation that they had as far as that series is concerned, because it was really some of the best. I guess it also won, I think, an Emmy for best animation as well. When it comes to what the series was, as far as that from the League of Legends that came out and really just did a great job of some of the best animation in quite some time on Netflix. Yeah, I'm not talking about the Cuphead show. Even Cuphead show has been a great series for them. It's been a lot of those shorts that really I've enjoyed so much on it. But yeah, I mean, it's just been something where with Arcane, just really have hit the note with that. And if they can follow anywhere close with Dragon Age Absolution as they have with Arcane from the League of Legends universe, my gosh, that could be another great series that they could have on hand.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I mean, there's a lot of
Because Arcane's been eating up all the awards.
yeah, Arcane, and I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I'd love to see Smite turned into something like. There's a lot of potential for shows like that to be put on Netflix and turned into something big. I'm still obviously we're still waiting for Mass Effect. So but not, that's not an animated. I don't want an animated Mass Effect. Like I want a legit real life
There
one,
has been
but
an animated Mass Effect. I think it was a
there
Japanese.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I wish I had more background in some of these series on Netflix because they look great, and I'd love to watch them. I just don't want to sit there and like I have a background with Castlevania, so like I know, a lot of the characters and the storylines and
Because
all
that's
that. But,
also coming up for Netflix.
but some of these other ones I don't have a history with, and I have story OCD, so it's hard for me to
Yeah,
just sit down and plug myself into something without knowing all the background.
yeah. Because they've had Castlevania, I think, as a series already, but I think they're doing another season of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's not the main line Castlevania. It's a
Yeah,
different Castlevania series
yeah.
adapting a different character.
Okay, but still within a line of like similar to what we see with Arcane with League of Legends. It's
Yeah.
taking the spirit from the game and then translating it on the screen in animated fashion. So hopefully they can take that same success at Netflix with Arcane that they did such a great job on, that they can do now with Dragon Age Absolution. Like Josh, I have never really gotten into the Dragon Age series, not like the Mass Effect series, that's for sure. I've always put my fantasy stock into the Elder Scrolls series. I think, as far as if you put an arrow to my head, as you would say in the fantasy world. But yeah, that would probably be my leaning towards that because I've spent so many hours in Elder Scrolls. I'd love to see an Elder Scrolls as far as an animated series.
That would be cool, but okay, so hear me out for a second. The great thing about Elder Scrolls is the fact that you're like a nameless protagonist. Do you
Mhm.
think it would ruin the magic if they like gave a name and a face to a character in that and had the show follow it?
Well, I mean, it can't be any worse than meeting some of the NPCs in Elder Scrolls, because some of the NPCs,
Do you,
not only because the animation, but some of these, they have many NPCs in the world of Elder Scrolls, but not all of them are great conversation.
that this is true. I mean, I would be fine either way. I just want to know who the lusty Argonian maid is. Like it's just been such a mystery forever.
That it has. Who knows with Elder Scrolls 6, whenever it comes out, that could still continue to be a mystery indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on Dragon Age Absolution as it hits Netflix also this week? Looking forward to seeing if they can repeat their magic that they once did already with Arcane. Will they do it again with Dragon Age Absolution? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And before we head on out to the break, I want to go ahead and hear some thoughts on Callisto Protocol from you, my friend. It is a spiritual sequel to the Dead Space series. I know this is something, Dead Space, that you have enjoyed over the years. You've enjoyed them very much. Your thoughts on Callisto Protocol, which came out on the second and has gotten okay reviews, pretty solid reviews, before we head on out.
Yeah, I don't. So I haven't had a chance to play. My wife actually cut me off from buying things,
Mm-hmm.
especially video games, through the month of December. So I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if there ever since the Dead Space franchise ended, like there has been like an emptiness lurking as far as like what would you call it? Like a
Space
visceral
horror.
shooter, space horror. Yeah, there's been a definite emptiness there, and I know that Callisto Protocol started out as a like a add-on for PUBG,
Mm-hmm.
and then the devs were like, oh, this like doesn't make any sense to have in PUBG world anymore, so they created its own thing. So I've been watching some videos, and like it was giving me anxiety, like watching you run from things and just like the cinematics. And I'm sitting there like, oh wow, like if this is doing this to me just watching like a 30-second video clip, imagine what the actual game's gonna do. And I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Is it something that you're gonna check out?
It is something I'm going to go ahead and check out, because the Dead Space, space horror type genre hasn't been touched on too much outside of some, give or take, good or bad Alien games and GTFO and a couple other games that have been okay at best. Hopefully, this will scratch that itch, but we won't know that until the Dead Space remake, I think, is scheduled for next year release. So we'll see. I think
Yeah, I
the
think it's
success,
March.
yeah. So the success of Callisto Protocol, I think, depends on how good it matches up against the original Dead Space. I think a lot of people that were behind the original Dead Space games are part of Callisto Protocol. So if you get a chance, please check it out. Also, remember, when you can, if you want to get really into the mythology of it, I believe there are accompanying podcasts, if I'm not mistaken, that were setting up the world of Callisto Protocol, at least what happened as far as the prison that on space, that out in space, that actually happens on this planet, a prison break or something like that. Something happens and they have to investigate it, and that just starts the mystery even further before you even get into what's going on with the game. So, yeah,
Do
Callisto
you
Protocol. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Do you think that much like Doom, it's gonna revolve, or it revolves around like a space Doom and Dead Space, it revolves around like a space cult alien artifact that they found and messed with, but they probably shouldn't have?
Probably. It usually delves into something. Humans, whether in their prison or not, they cannot stay away from the nice shiny object that gets them in a whole bunch of trouble. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Let me touch it. Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely. It's not going to do anything to me. No, no, it's not.
What's the
exactly.
worst that could happen?
Exactly. What alien? What alien's going to jump out and bite my head off? Huh? You never know. You never know. But
You
I
never
want to know
know.
your thoughts out there on the Callisto Protocol video game. Well, before we do, I just want to ask Josh real quickly. Do you think
Yeah.
this could go ahead before the Dead Space remake? Do you think this really scratches that itch from what you're seeing?
I think so. I think it does that and more. And don't get me wrong, like I love Dead Space, but they're doing a remake of the original game, so it's not something new. And I think Callisto Protocol is, well, the Dead Space remake will be fun. This is something new. This is territory and writing that we've never experienced before, and I think that this is something that was much needed in that genre. I mean, that genre really just needed anything, and I think that yes, this is scratching that itch.
What are your thoughts out there on Callisto Protocol? It's been out for a couple of weeks, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on if you think it's going to scratch that itch for a lot of gamers out there when it comes to space survival horror. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. We're back with the second half of the show. But before we get to Melinda and I unboxing what's in the box, before we head on out, my friend, I want to go ahead and ask you some things that stood out to you this past week because it was the video game celebration they do once a year, and that is the Game Awards. I know Melinda and I talked about the success of God of War Ragnarok and the ultimate victory for the game of the year, Elden Ring, which was a small surprise, not a big surprise, but it was a small surprise because it was going in as a number two favorite, I think, because God of War Ragnarok won a lot of awards heading into that final award, but ultimately couldn't get it done. Your thoughts on anything about as far as the awards themselves or any of the videos that you saw? Because there were a ton of video game announcements while you were there.
Yeah, I've spent a long time like Googling the
Watching it, by
church.
the way, you weren't actually there in LA, but yes,
Yeah,
you were watching.
I've been trying to like Google the church that Bill Clinton is apparently a rabbi at, and I haven't quite found any luck with that one.
Yeah, that was a funny part. A kid at the very end, as the team from Elden Ring were accepting their award, a kid started on stage. He actually got on stage and got a little bit of time on the mic, talking, babbling about something about that. Yeah. Well, he got, what? He got the best Christmas, I guess, that the Game Awards can give him. They gave him a rap sheet because he was arrested soon after.
So, but it's just funny like how
Merry Christmas, he
easy
got a rap sheet.
he did. Yeah, but it's just funny how easy he was able to get up on that stage. Like they just I don't know, they just like assumed like he was part of the dev team or something, but he just casually walks up on stage and was able to grab the microphone and nobody stopped him. Just a really relaxed security, I guess.
And of all the things he could say when he gets that time in the sun, he says garbage like that. Just, yeah,
Yeah,
what an
yeah,
idiot. Absolutely idiot. I'm
yeah.
going to
So
say that. I'm going to say that clearly. What an idiot.
what an idiot. But anyways, back to that question. Yes, I did. There were some things I did love. You know, it I I think Elden Ring's a great game,
Hmm.
but it's it's not like a very accessible game. Does that make like it's not something that like
It's not an
it
easy game to play.
it's not an easy game. Like yeah, that's what I mean when accessible. It's not like something that like casual gamers can sit and play. I got like halfway through it. I didn't give up on it. I just haven't turned it back on because there are other things I wanted to
Mhm.
play. But it doesn't. I guess what irritates me about it is that it doesn't like cover every like faucet of gaming. Possibility. It doesn't have it. The story is like meh. The fighting's cool. The world is really cool. It doesn't check all the boxes, but it checks most of them. God of War, I'm still not sure how I feel about it because it does a lot of hand holding and it's very linear and it's got almost too much storytelling. So I mean, I look at the games that were nominated for Game of the Year, and I don't know where I would have put my vote in that, in that pool. But I think that both games were worthy of the awards that they won that night.
I think so as well, but I would have kind of leaned towards Atari 50, the anniversary collection, because I'm having such a
Nice,
fun time with that. So I'm just going to say that out loud because I think that's a sensational game. One of the best that I played in quite some time. So that's just
good,
me.
good man. Yeah, absolutely.
But I will say also as well that, yeah, both of those games deserve it. I mean, God of War Ragnarok had the late in the year hype, obviously because it was a later release, but then you also had Elden Ring, which destroyed the Sony releases of Gran Turismo 7 and Horizon Forbidden West, which was still nominated. But you remember we
Mhm.
were talking about it, how Horizon Forbidden West came out with all this hype and all this, goodwill and good, actually acclaim. And then all of a sudden Elden Ring comes out soon after and it's like, oh, did Horizon
It
come out?
annihilates it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't really, like, do a lot of mention of Horizon at the VGAs this year, but they did, talk about the expansion coming out. I think it's
Hmm.
in March or April or something like that.
Yeah. And
Uh,
the VR game as well.
yeah, yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. I was really excited to. I mean, obviously they showed a new trailer for Final Fantasy that looked cool, and Star Wars looks really cool. Also, I think that one got snagged like a March release date.
Yeah. The successor to Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, but I think of all the things they announced at the awards, I was really excited about Armored Core returning. Do you remember that game?
Yes, I do. This is Armor Core 6, if I'm not
Armored Core
mistaken.
6, yeah,
Yes.
Fires of Rubicon. The last one came out on the 360, and it came out like the same week as Gears of War did, the first one. So like we
Mhm.
haven't seen an Armored Core game since then. And I think I don't I could be wrong on that, so feel free to fact check me. But I don't know. I always really enjoyed those games. You know, like I loved Chrome Hounds. It was not related, but like I love the build a robot and fight games. Like those are fun. And I was always like curious if they were ever going to make another Armored Core game, and here they go. It
So
looks pretty cool.
so funny because you mentioned Gears of War, and I told Melinda this, but I didn't tell you because I told you I did get an Xbox Series S a couple weeks ago. It's funny.
Okay.
The first game I played on it was a game from 2006, the original Gears of War.
Did you? Was it the ultimate one or was it the 360 version?
360 version, of course.
Mm.
The lowest
Y-
fidelity.
Are you gonna jump on Games Pass?
I will when the time is right, my friend. I'm just waiting for the big release. No reason to get it for me now. I mean, there's the games on there that I could go ahead and endlessly play and whatnot, but I'm waiting until I think Redfall or Starfield to come out. I really think that if I bite my time and I get my year then in, I think it's going to work out a lot better because not only will I have a lot of time to spend with that, but a whole bunch of games added on to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, because I know you get a free year, right? I think if you buy the Xbox, but you also get if you don't use that, it's like $1. You get a month for $1, and
Hmm.
it's a nice little nice little taster of the different offerings so
Yeah,
far in there. But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and Starfield's right around the corner, so you can trigger that thing the moment that that game drops and spend the the 30 something hours waiting for the game to install.
exactly, exactly indeed. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good Game Awards. Didn't think the announcements were awesome, mind bending, but I thought they were
And
okay.
yeah, nothing crazy. I mean, the big one obviously was the Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and then just like everything else in the games industry got spoiled like 3 days before it was supposed to be talked about. So that was we all kind of knew that that was going to happen. Um, yeah, everything else is kind of yeah, it is what it is. But I have a question for you. What do you think
Mhm.
about the new Street Fighter game? It looks
Street
interesting.
Fighter 6, I believe.
Yeah, it just like it has all these like mini games in it, and it looks definitely different. And how do you feel about and how do you think the lifelong fans of Street Fighter and just like the esports arena are going to feel about this?
And the Tekken 8 as well. Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 both debuted gameplay videos during the Game Awards. When it comes to Street Fighter 6, it's about the fluidity and about the speed of the and if the, that to be when I first look at it at first glance, didn't have the fluidity or speed that I am used to from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong on that. So I'm hoping I'm wrong on that. But as someone who used to play the older Street Fighters quite a bit on consoles and at the arcades, I'm expecting certain things from Street Fighter, and I'm not sure with all the side stuff in it or the actual gameplay fluidity, if that's what we're going to get. So I'm going to keep my eyes open, my reservations a little bit on that. But we'll see. I mean, it looked to me it looked a little better though than Tekken 8. Tekken 8, I still think has got a long way to go,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Street Fighter 6 is going to be the one that's been heavily promoted by Sony, as it will continue to do so on the PlayStation platform.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. I mean, Tekken sells. I think it sells enough to make it worth making, but it's no Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And I look at Street Fighter, and the animation in this one looks like it went from, like how you used to have like you had like a Madden or NFL NFL. What was it? Not Blitz, but like NFL Fever game, and
Hmm.
then they come out with like NFL Street. Like that's what the animation differences look like. It's something that it went from being like kind of a dark bland thing, and now it's just like, it's so vibrant and colorful, and I just don't know like how I want to see more gameplay, because like I'm just curious like how that's going to affect the fan base.
Remember, when it comes to fighting games, it's all about the net code, net code, net code, and how fast and fluid. As you said, esports is such an integral part of the fighting scene. And if it's not something that the fighting game fans are going to be able to stick with, then that's a death knell for a fighting game
Mhm.
if they don't stick with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So who knows? It could be good. I mean, if I'm fascinated enough to want to pick it up and play it, but but I'm not the one that they're marketing to. I'm just like the casual. I'll check it out when when it comes out, or if it hits Games Pass or whatever. But I'm not the hardcore esport uh fighting game type. So I'm just curious how this, like, gamers hate change. So I'm just curious how this change is going to affect them.
Definitely going to check that out and wait and see exactly like you said how it's gauged by the fighting game industry and the fans that are supporting it and the esports and all that. So we'll see how that works out between Tekken 8 versus Street Fighter 6 when both come out or scheduled to come out next year, because you can't say that they're definitely going to come out because the way that video
Yeah.
games are, they can and might and possibly and most likely will be delayed. Seeing the way things have gone
Hmm.
lately. But before we
What?
head to the,
Oh,
oh, go ahead.
sorry. Can I say one more thing? Like the Halo, not Halo. Sorry, the Hellboy game was interesting. The
Mhm.
really really unique animation style, like all hand drawn by Mike Mignola. And surprise, surprise, you hear who is doing the voice of Hellboy in the game?
No, I didn't. Was it David Harbour himself?
It was Ron Perlman.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go. The
so
original movie Hellboy.
very interesting. But yeah, it looks kind of cool.
Absolutely. Speaking of big name stars in video games, the one game that I think is going to be a huge hit or miss, there's going to be no in between, is a game by the 505 Game Studio, which not has not brought out the best always in video games. They have a kind of shaky here and there type success ratio, but they're coming out with a game next year that they actually debuted. It is called Crime Boss Roque City.
Mm,
It's a
yeah.
first-person shooter. It's coming out, and the gameplay looks rudimentary, first-person shooter type deal. That's not the issue. Very cyberpunk-ish in a way, as far as the
I
style and the look.
saw that. Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I don't. It sounds cool. I don't think I'm gonna play it though, because like cyberpunk is just plenty enough of that genre for me.
It looks like a cross between how should I say Call of Duty, Cyberpunk, and and what do you have as far as GTA Vice City. I think that's probably the best way I can explain it.
Mhm.
But it's the number of, I'm not gonna say stars now, because most all these guys are like doing like straight to video type deals now for the most part, except for Michael Rooker, who's still part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, as well thought of anyways. But I know his character passed away, but he's still thought of it, as well as someone that can do some good work. But when you have Michael Madsen, you have Chuck Norris,
Mhm.
Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, Damian Poitier, Kim Basinger, Michael Rooker, and Vanilla Ice. That's an
You
eclectic group to say the
can't go
least.
wrong there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand it's 505 Games reaching out to every actor that is looking for a paycheck at this point in time that had a name or still has a name. But again, the look of this is intriguing me. But again, this is either going to be a massive failure or a big success, and I don't think it's going to be either way.
Yeah,
I
well,
think it's only going to be either way. I don't think it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
yeah, it's and or it's always all the names in it, especially Vanilla Ice. Like people are either going to be like, "Hey,
Do,
I'm
do,
pleasantly
do, do,
surprised by this,"
do,
or it's
do,
going
do,
to
do.
be the next like meme movement.
Ice, ice, baby. Ice,
Yeah,
ice.
right.
I wonder if he's going to be rolling in his 5.0. What are
Who
your thoughts
knows?
out there? Oh, I thought that was pretty good. I was setting you up for that one. But what are your thoughts out there on everything that's going on with the Game Awards? Did you like what you saw of it? Did you like the presentations? You like the winners or have issues with the winners? Or did you like the video game reveals, including what we talked about with Crime Boss, Rock A City? I didn't even talk to you about Judas. I talked a little bit with Melinda. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on Judas from Ken Levine, the creator of Bioshock? This looks like a Bioshock successor, much like we're seeing with Callisto Protocol being a spiritual successor to Dead Space.
It's the same game that he always makes. It's the same exact game, but it's in space
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a female protagonist. Like that is really the only difference. Like he just made much like Vin Diesel only plays one character in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Levine only makes one game, and it's Bioshock with different skins.
Yep, it definitely looks like that. So we'll see when it comes to Judas, Crime Boss, Rocket City, or anything else that was presented and debuting as a video for a potential release in 2023 and beyond, as far as world premiere videos as part of the Game Awards. But if you have any thoughts on the Game Awards, please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Coming up after the break, I've got a reveal with Melinda that we recorded on Friday. I want to go ahead and play that for the folks out there listening on audio and on radio. Then after that, Josh and I will go ahead and talk a little bit more about what's in the box. Plus, is it time to play Witcher 3 again? We'll talk about that coming up as we close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thanks so much to Melinda Barkhouse Ross for sharing my unboxing and opening at that point in time. My friend, before again I show everybody out there what was in the box that I got from our good friends at Free League Publishing, big shout out to them. I do want to mention that Witcher 3 is coming out with a next gen update. It is coming out this week. Is it time to get back into the world of Witcher 3 after all the 2 seasons now of the Witcher series? They're going to add some content from the Witcher series as part of this next gen update. Is it time to go back into the world of The Witcher 3?
Oh, there's never a bad time to go back into the world of The Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
I had been thinking about this though. Like I do want to play I want an excuse to play the game again, but I might wait. I might wait until the remake of the first one comes out and then, play them in succession before I go back.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's something I may be interested in because I didn't get to spend a whole much time. I've actually had The Witcher 3, but I actually have not been able to spend as much time as I'd like into it. So if I do get a chance to get the update on it, I will probably look into it and probably spend some more time because, as you and I both know, there's a ton, an absolute ton of content there with The Witcher 3. And if they added more with things that people that watch the Netflix show are familiar with, that's just going to make it even more attractive. I'm hoping they just don't run into the same problems that they did with Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, everyone's going to be skeptical of anything that they put out now because of that what happened with Cyberpunk, but I think that they've done a great job of making it up to the fans. I think they've worked hard. They've been very transparent and they've kept updating people as they are updating the fan base as they go. They've made their apologies. I haven't seen the same thing come out of EA in terms of Mass Effect. So
Good
I
luck.
yeah, well, they kind of like just kind of brushed everything they did under the rug with Andromeda, but at least CD Projekt Red, for all the shortcomings that that game had, they have been trying their best to do right by the fans.
So, would you go back in with Geralt of Riviera?
Absolutely. Yes. I would. I don't know. I like that world. I like I like anything that has to do with, fantasy things. And The Witcher 3 was it was a monumental undertaking, playing that game, because it took forever, but it was
Geralt of
fun.
Rivia, per se? You want to be Geralt of Rivia one more time?
One more time.
Okay. I'm
At
actually
least 3
very
more
interested.
times.
I'm
Yeah.
very intrigued, my friend. This is something, again, I didn't get to spend much time the first time around with Geralt of Rivia. So I'm looking forward to, maybe if I get a chance, or if I get a code, or if I get a copy of it, digital download for my Xbox Series S. Maybe thinking about doing that. So we'll see. Depends. Again, there's going to be a lot of interest into it. So we'll see. I might wait. I might wait until, seeing how they had the issues with Cyberpunk 2077. Might wait just a week or two just to see how it flows out as far as any technical glitches, before I really get into it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it yeah. Yeah, most definitely. But if it would be there's never a wrong time to play The Witcher 3.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right, my friend. But what do you think out there about the next gen update coming this week for The Witcher 3? Are you ready to play as Geralt of Rivia once again? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. We want to make sure before we head on out, we go ahead and let you know that Friday's show, we're going to be covering the biggest movie release possibly of this year. It most likely will be with Avatar: The Way of Water. That's coming out later this week. I know that you and I on the Monday show next Monday will be gauging the success, the box office success, because there's a lot of pressure at Disney right now for that movie to become a success. I know it is going to be a big release in China, which is one of the first big releases of China in quite some time as far as an American movie is concerned. So, your thoughts on the Avatar: The Way of Water while there's still some time left before the movie comes out?
Um, it looks exactly like the first movie, except for with water. And I'm not saying that to be critical. I know I have like not great things to say about James Cameron most of the time. I mean, regarding his attitude, not him as a filmmaker, but I'm sitting there watching this trailer today, and it literally is the same exact movie. Like, you have the and ooh and nature and water and animals, and you have that, like, oh, it fills my spirit with so many great feelings. And then you see the machines and the machine guns and the helicopters. It is literally the first movie, but in an ocean.
Well, we'll see if that's the case. I know a lot of people are excited for it. Will it do the kind of numbers it needs to do? Because it needs to do a lot. I mean, the reported budget and with the marketing costs and all that, it could skyrocket to about $400 million for all said and done before the movie even comes out. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. That means a ton of cash needs to be made for it to be a success. We'll see. Will it beat Top Gun Maverick by the end of its run? How about that? Because I think that's about 1.2 billion.
This goes back to what Rob McCallum was saying. Like, does it really have the cultural footprint that it once did? Does it have 10 years after the original one came out? Does it have the power to do that still? I don't know.
I'm not sure if it will in the States, but it probably still has that foothold overseas. I really think that it's going to earn some major bucks overseas. I think it will land somewhere between the 1.2 billion or ish that the Top Gun Maverick made, and then also as well the 1.8 billion ish that Spider-Man No Way Home made. I think it's going to fall somewhere between there. I think if they're expecting a $2 billion movie, I mean, I hope they get it. I hope I'm wrong, just because of the fact we always want to see good movies being, out there that are making money because it helps the movie industry. But that's a tough ask to do right now in today's climate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why I'm wondering if it's even going to cross a billion, because a lot of the audience that went to
I
see it,
think
yeah,
it
there are a lot
will.
of families and and young adults that when teenagers went to go see it. But a lot of the later showings after after it was out for a couple weeks were older people that went to go see it, but they're not really paying to go to the movie theaters anymore.
Well, this early release in China will dictate it. I think the fact that it's doing something that not a lot of other movies in the past 3 years have been able to do, and that's get a release in China day and date. So I think that's going to help out a lot, and we'll see what the crowd and climate is like there. I know there's still restrictions there in place in China, but we'll see what happens. I think the international market is going to be key to this movie's success.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we'll see. Will it be the popcorn event of the year? Who knows? It's possible.
We'll give you a better idea on next Monday's show. But before we end it out, my friend, I do also want to mention for next Monday's show and the week after, we're going to be talking about the best of Josh Peterson in pop culture for him, and then also the worst in pop culture for Josh Peterson as well. That'll be also coming up in the next 2 episodes as well.
Yes. Yes. A year of pop culture
That's
will be judged.
I've been taking my notes throughout the year, so I don't have to go scrambling. So I've got them all right here, right up on my screen, so I can get them at any time. So I'm looking forward to sprinkling my best and worst, also with you and Melinda as well, coming up here at the end of the month. Looking forward to that in our Christmas episodes and New Year episodes as we head on into it 2023. But before we head on out, my friend, again, Free League Publishing. I found this in the box right there for you. What's in the box? It's none other than Blade Runner, the role-playing game. That's right. The Blade Runner IP for the first time has really gotten into tabletop RPG action, and I've got actually the starter set right here. I also have as well this
What
right
is that
here.
one?
That is the core rules book right there for you. Blade Runner, the role playing game. I am extremely thankful and blessed that Free League Publishing sent this to us. And then last but not least, I got this as well. This is the Game Runner screen for Blade Runner, the role playing game. We go ahead and try it because it's very glistening because it's got the plastic cover still on it. Because I will open up at a later date as far as for out there on a separate video. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I want to give everybody an idea. It comes out this week for everyone out there. If you're interested in tabletop RPG and you love Blade Runner like we do, we want to go ahead and let you know that it is going to be available. You can actually pre-order right now, but it is going to be available this week from FreeLeaguePublishing.com. You can also find out more about it at BladeRunnerRPG.com, but the place where you can order it is FreeLeaguePublishing.com. It is right there for you. It's looking sensational. I am so thankful for Free League for sending this to me. What I have in my hand right here, all this is the Blade Runner RPG Rep Detect bundle. This is $106 flat on the site, just to let you know, because if you buy it separately, the starter kit is $47 thereabouts. The rule book, the core rule book, is $50, and the Blade Runner screen for the Game Master or Dungeon Master, as it were, is $23.94. So that's a great value. Plus, they have other great digital and dice options in the Blade Runner motif there as well. So if you get a chance, please check it out. FreeLeaguePublishing.com. Order it today if you are as big a fan as I am and as big a fan as Josh is of the Blade Runner. And you've heard us, if you've been listening to the show, for years talk about our love for Blade Runner. There's no better gift to get. You still have time to get it as a Christmas gift for the Blade Runner fan in your life out there.
Do it. Do it. Turn your character into a thief replicant with a troubled past.
There you go. Well, that's what we're going to have to set up. You and I are going to have to set up a game. If I open this up, We're going to have to set up a game.
All right. Hey, I don't want to DM it. I just want to play it. So if you get someone to tell a story, I'm down.
Okay, we may have to do that indeed. But if you have any thoughts on it or questions, please let us know at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, been a great episode as always, but any last thoughts before we head on out?
No, not that I can think of. I learned today that the world of Funko Pop is endless, and it is the depths of which I will never understand. I think Funko Pops are cool, but there's just there's so many people that know so many things about them, but they don't collect anything else except the Funko Pop. So it's just, I wish I had the knowledge to understand that world a little bit better, but there's so much of it.
Well, my friend, if at all possible, I will hopefully get some information for you that may help you better understand the world of Funko Pop. I'm hoping to get the opportunity to stop by the Museum of Funko Pop later this month in Seattle. So I'm hoping to do that indeed. But looking forward to, my friend, wishing you well, continued success as a happy hoarder. Please go ahead and follow Josh the Great at thehappyhoarder.com and Happy Hoarder on Facebook today to find out more great stuff that he's selling in the world of pop culture. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.